Hey everyone, before we get started with this episode, I wanted to let you all know that I just recently finished up a new batch of exhaust manifolds, and these are currently available for purchase on my website. They can be found in the available manifolds link in the description below. So let's take a look real quick at what I have and what's available to purchase right now. So I have, first off, a Neon SRT-4 T4 twin scroll, Neon SRT-4 T3 open scroll. These are both top mount manifolds. I have this SRT-4 T4 sidewinder, open scroll as you can see right here. And I also have these two 2JZ GE T4 twin scroll top mount manifolds. So all of these are flanged for 44, 45, or 46 millimeter V-band wastegates. And that will be Tile, Turbo Smart, or Precision, respectively. All the twin scroll manifolds are set up for twin wastegates. The open scroll manifolds are set up for single wastegates. And all of these manifolds are Schedule 5 321 stainless construction. So that's a superior alloy as compared to 304 stainless, which is the industry standard. And with it being a more superior alloy that way, I can make the manifolds out of a little bit thinner material to make them as light of a production manifold as I'm able to provide all of you. So again, if any of these manifolds are something that you are interested in, visit that available manifolds link in the description below. You can check out all the details, pricing, and if you have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to send me an email at alex@bpautosports.net. Or you can fill out the contact form and submit a question that way on the website. So with the business side of the house taken care of, let's go ahead and get to the video. Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So to start this video off, we have the first brand collaboration brand deal that I'm working with. And before I talk about it, let's go ahead and go over what we have going on here for the sake of transparency. So a little while ago, Super Clean contacted me and said, hey, are you interested in featuring our products in some of your videos? Or in a video of yours, I should say. And up to this point, I've been very skeptical and very hesitant to do so, as I don't want this channel to turn into just another channel that's pandering different products and things like that for profit to you guys. So I made those concerns clear to Super Clean, and they sent more or less a care package to me. There was no money exchanged, no anything like that, and frankly, there is no requisite of me even including this in the video. But since they were kind enough to send these products to me, I figured I might as well feature them in the video as a nod to them. So product-wise, we have this all-wheel cleaner right here, but we aren't going to be focusing on this in this video. They sent me a shirt, they sent me one of these pretty cool camo hats, a sticker, and what we will be working with today are these two things over here. So we have this aerosol Super Clean right here, and we have their original Super Clean right here. And what we're going to be using it on is this power steering pump for the Mark II. So I'm getting to the point now where I'll be looking at the intercooler tubing, intake tube, etc., all things like that. And this power steering pump really needs to be in place for that. And it is really quite grimy and dirty and everything else. So I'm going to use Super Clean to see if I can't clean this up and get it in a little bit more presentable fashion where I'll feel comfortable putting it under the hood of the Mark II. So before I start cleaning, I'm going to disassemble this pump as much as I can. I already pulled the long section of line off with a good old-fashioned line wrench and a hammer. So that is pulled off. I can pull these vacuum lines off of here. And this is all these parts are very old. So I'm going to be as careful as I can be with them, as I'm sure I can get another pump, but I don't really want to if I don't have to. Oh, and this line doesn't really seem to want to come off of here, but if I bend it, you guys can see just how dry rotted and cracked and everything that it is, hopefully. I'm just going to cut this and replace this line, as it has seen better days, and we can do a little bit better for this car than this old crappy line. There we go. Alright, I hate these old style clamps as well. I'm sure it works alright, and the design isn't bad. This bolt screws down, presses this inside part down onto the line that you're fastening, or the line that you're clamping onto, and it holds it together that way. So I don't like that. We're going to replace it. And I guess, what else do we have? Can try to get the reservoir off of here. Yeah, let's try to do that, so that way we're working with the pump body itself and the reservoir itself. And it looks like A, I'm making a mess, and B, it's just 4 bolts to get this undone. There's 2. And if this works the way that I think it will, which it does, this just pulls off, has an O-ring on the bottom of the reservoir, which I will replace. Now we have 2 separate parts, and that'll make cleaning this a little bit easier. Well, I cleaned out as much of the old power steering fluid as I could from both the reservoir and the pump itself. And this is what we are left with. And you can see some of the mess over on that side there. And we're going to work over in this cleaner section of the plastic over here. I think I'm going to start out using this aerosol, since it says that it will stick to vertical surfaces somewhere either on the can or in the fact sheet that they sent with their products. But we'll see how well this works. And I guess let's start with the reservoir, as it's kind of the crustier of the 2 parts. So we'll set the pump over to the side, start spraying the reservoir down, doing some scrubbing, and we'll see just how well this cleaner actually works. Well, I have to say, and this is not me representing a brand or anything like that, but Super Clean did a pretty good job cleaning up this power steering pump. Now, I'm going to go through and prime and paint this and everything else, as well as this little vacuum switch, and I have yet to decide what I want to do with the reservoir itself, but all of the grease and grime and everything like that is effectively removed from these parts. So go down super clean, everything worked out well that way. So why don't we go ahead and start spraying some paint, get these parts prettied up, and then I can at least get everything reassembled for the time being, get it put on the car, and I can build around it at that point. Well, I went ahead and tidied up the clutch master cylinder. It is cleaned up, painted. I went ahead and used some super clean on the rubber cap, and it really brought it back to life. So that's another cool thing that product can do. And I also, on the interior, put most of it back together as well. So we have the center console, all the shifter bezel and everything else, the dash pieces, and I'll need to play around a little bit with the fitment of some of this. You can see that there's a bit of a gap right here, but I can do that later. Right now I'm just happy to have those pieces at least roughed back in place and a few less things sitting in the rear seat. So I'm about out of things to do on this car right now, but a little birdie told me that Jared's SRT-4, the crazy blue drag car one that I did a turbo system build series on a little while ago, will be on the dyno in the next couple of days. So why don't we go ahead now and jump to that dyno session and let's see what Jared's car can do. Well, I'm back at the shop to wrap the video up and go over a little bit of what happened with Jared's dyno session. So, the final numbers for the car in this section, or this session, were 867 wheel horsepower and 659 pound-feet of torque, I believe, at around 33 to 34 pounds of boost. So, I had to leave shortly after that pull to go to a dinner, but they pretty much called the dyno session shortly after I had left, and they ran into a few issues with cam and crank sync. So if you guys see, or if you guys saw the fireballs that the car shot out, those looked really cool, but that was not the idea, not the intent of the dyno session. So the issue they were running into was the reluctor wheel on the crankshaft. So with crank sensors like that, they have a reluctor wheel that is a wheel that has a set number of teeth going around it, and that wheel is what the crank sensor references to tell the ECU the engine position. Now, those sensors, they generally operate under a specific air gap or distance between the end of the sensor, the pickup for it, and that reluctor wheel itself. So the reluctor wheel on Jared's car was a little bit out of round. So that air gap that's typically, I don't know, 60 thousandths of an inch or something around there, if that distance is not a constant, then the sensor can lose that position and lose where it's at in the rotation of the engine and freak everything out and cause the car to essentially shut off, which is what was happening with those big fireballs. So it's unfortunate and it cut the dyno session short, but that's a pretty easy fix, and we'll be back at the dyno with that car before too long. So even though the dyno session did not go exactly the way that Jared wanted it to, the car still made good power. He has an excellent foundation to build off of moving forward with the car, and the car will end up going really fast when he can make it back to the track. So all in all, even though it didn't make the power he wanted it to, I'd still call that dyno session a success. So the same guy that tunes the Supras who tuned the SRT-4, and that is my buddy Bob at Morrison Tuning. He's awesome at what he does. He's a hell of a tuner, hell of a guy, and he is my go-to for any tuning issues, any tuning needs, I guess I should say. He does a bang-up job. So, again, we were over at More Speed Performance. They're our go-to dyno location around here in Central Ohio. John and the crew are awesome people over there, and I always love seeing what they're working on over there, and getting to sit and BS with John for a bit is always a good time. So John, thank you very much for your hospitality as always and allowing us to go there and make some power and some cool noises. But with all of that being said, that'll be about the end of this episode. So thank you guys as always for tuning in, for coming along on all these different adventures, all these different journeys. And I know we didn't have a whole lot to do on the Mark II project in this episode, just some cleaning and housekeeping stuff, but at least got to try out Super Clean and figure out a few uses for it. And a huge thank you to Super Clean and that whole company for sending their products over for me to try out. And I can say at this point I'm pretty impressed with what the capabilities of their products are. So beyond that, we have some big things coming up for this in the next episode. I'll get more into that in the next episode when some parts and materials arrive, but a couple other big steps will be taken, and I can't wait to show you guys. But that will be then. This is now, and we are all but wrapped up at this point in time. So with that in mind, as always, be sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, check out the website for manifolds, for merch, for all things good that way, and I'll see you all in the next episode.